Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tracking a burger's epic, high-stakes journey through the ultimate chemical factory, your digestive system. We're going to break down the incredible biological mechanics that keep us fueled, all driven by the simple act of taking a bite of our favorite food.
You might think the food just kind of falls down a hollow tube into a dark pit at the bottom of your stomach, right? Well, no way. It's about to face a treacherous, highly coordinated path of acid, enzymes, and specialized helpers to turn that burger into pure microscopic energy. It's literally an absolute masterclass in chemical engineering, and it's happening inside us right now.
Here's the roadmap for our burger's adventure. We're charting its step-by-step journey from your mouth all the way to the final exit. We've got 5 main stages to hit: the starting line, the acidic pit, the helper organs, the absorption maze, and finally, the final exit.
Before we really get moving, we've got to clear up a really common misconception. It helps to split our digestive system into 2 separate teams. First, we have the alimentary canal. This is the actual physical tract the food travels on: your mouth, esophagus, stomach, and intestines. The burger physically passes through these. Then, we have the associated organs. These are the critical helpers parked just outside the tract, like the liver and the pancreas. They pump out powerful juices into the canal to make digestion possible, but they never actually touch the food directly.
All right, let's hit stage 1, the starting line, mouth to esophagus.
Imagine holding that burger and taking your very first bite. Digestion doesn't even wait for the stomach. As your teeth mechanically crush the food, an enzyme in your saliva called salivary amylase immediately springs into action. It goes right after the complex carbohydrates in the burger's bun, instantly starting the breakdown into simple sugars right there in your mouth. So your mouth isn't just a waiting room, it's practically a chemical laboratory. Once chewed, you swallow. But gravity isn't just pulling that food down. It's actively pushed down your food pipe, the esophagus, by these involuntary rhythmic muscle movements. This precise contraction and relaxation is called peristalsis. It's honestly so strong and effective that you could theoretically eat that burger while hanging completely upside down, and peristalsis would still push it perfectly into your stomach.
Next up is stage 2, the acidic pit, inside the stomach. So our chewed-up burger lands in a highly volatile, completely treacherous environment. To understand the stomach, you just need to look at 3 key components of gastric juice working in tandem. First up is hydrochloric acid, or HCl. This intense acid totally obliterates any harmful bacteria hiding in the food. Second, we have pepsin. That's the hero enzyme tasked with digesting the massive proteins in the burger's meat patty. And third, mucus. This is a thick, protective lining that coats the inside of your stomach. Without that mucus, the incredibly strong hydrochloric acid would literally burn a hole right through your stomach wall.
Now you might be wondering, why do we even need so much dangerous, intense acid in the first place? Well, because pepsin is exceptionally picky. This protein-digesting enzyme absolutely refuses to work unless it's surrounded by a highly acidic medium. So the HCl isn't just there for killing bacteria, it's the vital trigger that wakes pepsin up so it can actually start breaking down that burger patty.
Moving right along to stage 3, the helper organs, liver and pancreas. Our food is ready to leave the stomach, but we have a huge biological emergency on our hands. It's way too acidic, and the fat globules from the cheese are totally intact. Enter our first helper organ, the liver. The liver secretes a powerful green liquid called bile juice, and bile has 2 major jobs. First, it completely neutralizes that stomach acid, turning the food alkaline. Second, it performs a process called emulsification. This is where bile physically shatters those giant, stubborn fat globules from the cheese into tiny, manageable droplets, perfectly prepping them for the next stage.
Right behind the liver is our second helper, the pancreas. Think of the pancreas as our heavy artillery, bringing a triple threat of enzymes to the battlefield. Trypsin jumps in to keep dismantling the proteins. Lipase specifically attacks and breaks down those newly emulsified fat droplets from the cheese. And pancreatic amylase finishes off whatever complex carbohydrates are left over from the bun. The pancreas seriously ensures total chemical deconstruction.
Now for stage 4, the absorption maze, the small intestine.
With the burger fully broken down into tiny molecules by our helper organs, we enter the most crucial phase. It's called the small intestine because of its narrow diameter, but do not be fooled for a second. This incredible tube measures a staggering 5 to 7 meters long. Why is it so incredibly long? To guarantee your body has maximum time to trap and extract absolutely every single drop of value and energy from that food.
Here is the ultimate fate of the food. The walls of the small intestine secrete their very own intestinal juices that complete the absolute final stages of chemical breakdown. It's exactly here that the transition from digestion to absorption happens. These perfectly dismantled microscopic nutrients are now finally ready to cross over directly into your bloodstream.
But how does a simple tube absorb so much? The secret is the completely ingenious design of the intestinal wall. It's absolutely coated in villi, millions of microscopic finger-like projections. If the wall was smooth, food would just slip right by. But these villi drastically increase the surface area inside the intestine, acting like millions of tiny grasping hands loaded with blood vessels, actively catching and absorbing all the glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids.
Which brings us to our final stage. Stage 5, the final exit, the large intestine.
Okay, so all the vital nutrients have successfully been absorbed, but what happens to the leftover, fibrous waste that your body simply couldn't digest? It moves into the large intestine. The large intestine has one final critical job before the journey ends. It acts exactly like a dry sponge, reabsorbing all the vital leftover water from the waste material. Your body doesn't want to waste good hydration. Once the water is extracted, it leaves behind a solid mass that is finally digested or pushed out of the body.
So looking at the big picture, this perfectly illustrates the complete transformation we've been tracking. Our complex burger has been totally deconstructed. The carbohydrates in the bun were broken down into simple glucose. The massive proteins in the meat patty were chopped up into tiny amino acids, and those stubborn fats in the cheese shattered into fatty acids and glycerol. This is the microscopic fuel your body actually runs on.
We've seen the incredible, highly coordinated effort your biology puts into every single meal. From the crushing teeth and rhythmic peristalsis, to the acid pits, the helper enzymes, and those millions of grasping villi. Now that you know exactly what your body endures just to digest a single burger, it really leaves us with a provocative thought. If your digestive system is a perfectly calibrated 7-meter-long chemical factory, what happens when you throw a wrench in the gears with a terrible diet? Seriously, how is your current diet treating this delicate, hard-working system? Take that thought with you, and I'll see you in the next explainer.